Good morning, everybody. How y'all doing? I hope you're doing well. Um, I'm definitely feeling better, coming down off of that, I guess you could say drug high. I know it's just an inhaler, but it's still drugs. Um, for those of you who don't know, I had a bad side effect from the albuterol, or more like side effects. Yeah, it really threw me for a loop. Definitely staying off of that until I hear back from the doctor, hopefully Monday. So, anyway, as far as next steps that we can try or what have you, I'm just not going to run the risk. So, definitely did a lot of sleeping last night trying to get it off, wear it off. I did lay down yesterday afternoon after recording the video yesterday. Woke up and I was just still not right. Very dizzy, lightheaded, nauseous, headachy, mostly like right in through here, like temple to temple sort of thing. Very headachy, sometimes in through here, but mostly, you know, right in through my eye region. Um, yeah, but I am feeling better. Um, Still keep getting a little lightheaded, dizzy, especially if I try and move too fast. Like, okay, slow down, just stop. Like I remembered there was something spilled in my car from I think it was the last night I worked or something. I'm not too sure, but it was real sticky there in the cup holders. I was just like, oh, I need to clean that. I went out there and I was cleaning it up, trying to clean out the little area and so on and so forth. And I got, whoa. Especially after cleaning it up, and I was walking back, trying to walk back into the house. I was like, whoa, slow down. So yeah, I kind of keep doing that, but it's to be expected, especially after going through something like that. Uh, I know uh, I've always been sensitive to medications, um, but I seem to be getting worse as I'm getting older. Um, so I'm not entirely too sure what sort of steps I'm going to be able to take with everything. Um, I know it was kind of nice being able to breathe in a lot of aromas and so forth and not have a reaction in through here. Um, but I can't live like that either. So I'm not entirely too sure what what I'm gonna do here, um, or what sort of steps we can take. But that's the reason why I'm going to see the pulmonologist. Excuse me, so we can um, try and figure things out and so forth. If there, I don't even know if there's anything that we can do. Um, I was trying to find out if maybe there was a lower dosage, but there's only two different dosages. The micrograms basically. There's a 90 and then there's a 180, and I'm on the 90. Yeah, it's like okay, so that's not an option. I don't know. I'll see what doctor has to say about it and everything. Um, but yeah, I figure just pop up here and see. I also following along with what's been going on with the Hurricane Helene. Um, I keep wanting to pronounce it as the German derivation or pronunciation of Helena. I studied German for 4 years in high school, so that even though I don't speak it fluently or anything, a lot of times it'll kick in. Um, but yeah, it's pretty nasty. There's what's the name of that account? Southern Reverie. I follow up on Instagram. I seen that they posted some stories, and it's all footage, like short reels or what have you, of the devastation that's happening there in Tennessee. They even posted um, up there on the story, um, a reel of, well, there's a couple. One was of a dam, basically flooding, cresting over a dam. I mean, it was more than just cresting. It was gush. It was basically waterfalls going up over a dam. Been there, done that myself. Even Hurricane Floyd. Um, but this was after we had a whole summer of constant thunderstorms blowing through the area, and then we had a whole week's worth of, well, first we this was actually my first week of classes of my senior year in college. This was back in 99. And what wound up happening is we had Hurricane Dennis come in, and he wound up getting stationary right over our area. Then we had a cold front come through, and we were in hopes that the cold front would help push him out. Didn't happen. He actually wound up gobbling up that cold front, made him even more stationary. Then we had a couple more hurricanes come up, and they were like, okay, I think it was, no, another hurricane, that's right, Emily. They were in hopes that she would help push him out. He gobbled her up. So we basically had two hurricanes and a cold front sitting over us for a whole week. And that was it was actually that Thursday I wound up in a car accident. I was rear-ended. I was sitting waiting to be able to make a left-hand turn, and somebody heard somebody slam on their brakes behind me. But it sounded like it was kind of coming up alongside me, but no, they wound up slamming into me. It was a nasty accident. Um, but and anyway, yeah, that yeah, like I said, that was back in '99, and then after that, while I was dealing with all of that and everything, my dad, he was working out of town at the time, and it was after that Floyd came in. So we had all that water that had been dumping all summer, including all of that. And then when Floyd came in, fortunately, he didn't hit us directly. He kind of went more inland. But what wound up happening is uh, he wound up cresting my city's dam. No, excuse me. He wound up cresting somebody else's dam further up the river, and then and breaking their dam, and then all that water came flooding down and crested over our dam, and we actually wound up without water for a little over a week, something like that. They finally lifted the water restriction, started letting water come through, but it was undrinkable. Um, so um, and it happened overnight. I remember that. And my mom, she had told my dad and I to go and get some sleep. As my dad, he was scheduled to work the next morning, and it was like, and she was going to, of course, need me to be up the next day uh, um, with everything. And I was kind of out of school still with dealing with my car accident injuries. So I was kind of in and out of school, basically. And so my mom, she had been up that night when he came in, and the dam broke and so forth. And she heard on the news that they were going to be shutting the water off. So she got us up to get some showers at least. And to start filling up water containers, the bathtub, all that sort of stuff. You fill up the bathtub, and fortunately, we had a huge cast iron tub. It was an older home, so we had a huge cast iron tub. And the reason why you do that, not necessarily so that way you can, bathe yourself or whatever, so that way you have water to be able to dump into the toilets because you can't flush your toilet. So, yeah, that was basically the main reason. And so, yeah, we were filling up, water containers and everything else um, for all of that. So, yeah, I understand exactly when I had seen that footage from Southern Reverie about with that dam, with all that water crusting over that dam, like, oh my gosh, that brings back some memories. Yeah. Not that I'm trying to turn this into, about me or anything. It's more about, you know, showing you what these people are going to be having to be dealing with. Unfortunately, they probably will be without water for a while until it all subsides and so forth. Um, and then there was another footage that they had shown of somebody was there at a river that was flowing pretty good. I mean, it was flowing really, really strong, and it had already taken out part of this bridge. And while they were there filming, took out the rest of the bridge. I think they said it was State Road 170 or something like that, so wherever that is. But yeah, and they were showing uh, pictures of of flooding and other footage of flooding and so on and so forth. And I'm talking about gushing rivers, basically turning into Roman Rapids sort of thing. Um, I've referenced Roman Rapids. It's actually a water ride at Busch Gardens in Williamsburg, there in Virginia. So yeah, something like that. Or if you've been down rapids, like the Colorado River or something like that. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Sort of rushing rivers of what I was seeing. Um, so yeah, she's still packing a punch. Even a Cat 1 hurricane can pack a punch. Tropical storm, tropical depressions, even they can pack some good punches and everything. So um, yeah, even that far inland, and she's still going north. So uh, quite possibly people up there in the Midwest, Indiana, Illinois, possibly Michigan. Even I have seen it where those storms can make it as far north as Michigan. So um, it's funny. Actually seen it happen where it wouldn't do anything to us, but then once it got further inland, it caused a lot of havoc. Especially when you start getting into those mountainous regions and everything with the landslides and so forth. Yeah, so um, but yeah, my heart goes out to all those people. So definitely send some positive and protective energy, healing energy for anybody who might be injured or whatever. Um, and send help if you can. Yeah, because they're going to be a while. Salvation Army, Red Cross, so on and so forth. Definitely, if you can, send some help. So it's going to be a while, and even National Guard might not even be able to get into a lot of places to provide assistance. I've been there also. Um, so and that was an issue also with Floyd. Unfortunately, they weren't able to get water trucks in for several days because of all the devastation. Even though we didn't have anything happen with us, it was the surrounding areas blocking roadways and so forth with being able to get any assistance in. Same thing happened a few years later, 2003, I believe it was, with Hurricane Isabel. We referred to her as Izzy. We lost power for a whole week. And even though they were able to get trucks in, even workers, in from surrounding states and so on and so forth to help out and so forth. My neighborhood, the way that it was established, it was actually supposed to be a city, its own city. It actually was a city for quite a few years, but it was established initially back in 1918, I believe it was. Um, Supposed to provide housing for the shipyard during World War One. And when the war ended, the developer, he's like, well, I got these homes I need to sell, basically. So, and it was established to be its own community with a shopping area and so on and so forth. But yeah, over the decades, it grew and grew, and it was its own city up until the 60s, I believe it was, when it was decided to start annexing all these little areas around in that area that I'm from, and basically um, close down the counties that these little cities were in and annex them into neighboring cities to basically it all boiled down to federal funding is what it boiled down to, because if you have larger numbers and you can have yourself be as a city, you get extra federal funding. That's what it basically boiled down to. So, because of how my community wound up growing over all those decades, we wound up with multiple entrances going into there. And there was also a lot of very, very, very old trees. And with all of the tornadoes that kept going overhead and so forth, it just literally was uprooting all those trees, and they wound up falling across all those entrances leading into the community. So before we could even get trucks in, we had to clear out the trees. Yeah, so um, fortunately, the main entrance was not affected. Thank goodness. But most of the other entrances, the minor ones, were affected. Or if they weren't, if it wasn't directly there, there was another part of the street that was when I was finally able to get out and move around and be able to see. I was just completely in awe, really, of Mother Nature with because it was like I remember there was this one tree that you sit on, this one corner, and it was kind of a corner where it wasn't a square. It was more of a round, and they basically built the curve around this tree that was already there, and the tree uprooted and fell across the road, and that's all you seen was this huge hole where yeah, it was crazy. There was also um, the neighbor behind us had these two really, really tall old pecan trees, and both of them were literally just uprooted, and one of them fell on another neighbor's garage. The other one was leaning right at our house, and but basically what was holding it up, I hate to say it, were the power lines. Wow. Yeah. So fortunately, like my dad, he was still able to go to work. He was an electrician. I don't remember where he was working at that point, but and he was, and people were still able to leave the neighborhood, to go and possibly get supplies. We had a generator at the time, and my dad, trying to get gas was kind of difficult because everybody was at the gas stations, and we couldn't get gas into the area. Um, and my dad, and but fortunately, we were friends with this one neighbor who was in the military, the Navy, and they were able to get onto the base and get us gas. So because of course the military was still able to get gas, just we weren't. Us civvies weren't able to get gas. So yeah, it was kind of touch and go there for a while and everything. um, but yeah, I've been through it with those storms. It's very challenging with them and everything. But it also brings out that community, that sense of community too. So yeah, knowing what they're all going through and everything, it it definitely, my heart goes out to all of them. It really does. So, but anyway, so yeah, if y'all can help, at least send some positive energy their way. I know that it's definitely needed right now, and so forth. Oh, I know bugs are, see the little black bugs, they're really flaring up here lately. So anyway, uh, yeah, I figure I would come up here, give you all an update on myself, and also talk about um, uh, things that are going on back in my old neck of the woods. Yeah, and please send some. I still have friends and a little bit of family out in those. Even though I don't talk to anybody, nobody talks to me either. It's the way it is on both sides of the family, really. Nobody talks to anybody. It's just kind of the way it is. I don't know what it is. It's just it's just the way it is. So, but either way, um, yeah, just kind of send some of that positive energy their way. Okay. So anyway, I hope you all have a great weekend and so forth. And I do have to go out and get something to eat, see how I do with driving. I know. Um, Probably if I get some more movement going, it'll help push the rest of this mess out of me, and I'll probably feel a lot better. So, but anywho, I will talk at you later. I love you guys, and hope you have a great weekend. All right, talk to you soon.